tools, they're all built on the systems and models of the MREA. So one of the things you'll notice within Lindsay's presentation earlier is if you wanted to get to $1 million net GCI, net profit income, what did your GCI have to be off the 30-30-40 model? If you weren't paying attention, the answer is 2.5 million. So you have to gross 2.5 million to net $1 million. All of these tools are available to you, and what you track will ultimately improve. And I challenge you as we go through fall cleanup, as it relates to your database and planning ahead for 2022, that you're cleaning up the way you track and run your business, that you can take advantage of what is supposed to be an incredible year again in residential real estate in 2022. Sound good? Lindsay, thank you for showcasing the tools. We appreciate everything that you do. All right. I'm also going to flip into one other thing, and I've talked about this. I actually looked at this. I spoke on this in June of 2020 last year, and there is a situation that has gone on across, let's just call it social media, that you guys need to be paying attention to, because we had an agent impacted by it this week. And what happened is their account was either hacked or duplicated. And if you think about your two tangible assets in this business, one of them is your database, one of them is your reputation. And what's happening is people are either replicating or hacking your social media accounts to attack your reputation and doing irreparable business or harm to your reputation. Here's what you need to know. Guys, I'm going to jump into something, and I'm going to send you a link to a video that showcases how to do this. But I want to showcase one thing to you. If you don't have two-factor authentication set up on your email and social media, you need to do it today. And here's why. It is way too easy these days for people to impact your reputation. So here's what you're going to do. Here's my Facebook. I'm going into my Facebook and I'm hitting this little drop-down menu with the down arrow. I'm going to go into settings and privacy. And once I get into settings and privacy, you can either do a privacy checkup, which helps you run through a gauntlet of activities. But the other thing that you may want to do is check out your settings. And once you get to settings, you're going to go to security and login. And once you get to security and login, I would recommend one of two things. One, I would change your password to make it stronger and that it's unique. The other thing that you absolutely must do today, both with your email and social media, is use two-factor authentication. So what this is every time you log in, you're going to get a code that texts to your phone, and you have to verify the code on the platform before you log in. This is a real life situation that one of our agents had this week, that someone hacked or duplicated their account, put out some very offensive language towards certain groups of people. And it was a very inflammatory situation that we had to do a lot of PR and damage control on. I bring this to your attention because this person did not have two-factor authentication. They used a very generic password that they used across multiple platforms, and it was very easy for this person's security to be compromised. So I share this with you, to be real with you, to say this is happening. A lot of people think it can happen to you, but you have to do everything you can to protect your reputation and your database as it relates to how you set up your security and looking ahead. So I share that with you as a real life scenario that we dealt with over the weekend to make you aware that these things happen. They target people specifically in sales. And oftentimes, it didn't happen in this situation. Oftentimes, it leads to ransomware type activities where if you want us to clean this up, it's going to cost you money, and they want you to send it to, like, I don't know, Dubai, right? So don't set yourself up for those sorts of situations, and make sure that you're protecting your platforms from hackers and duplication. It's real, and they attack. And for whatever reason, it seems to be the real estate industry is a really easy one to go after. All right. Having said that, one other quick update. Last week, we touched on trust funds and earnest money, and what do you do if you have excess earnest money? One of the other things that we do want to touch on too, real briefly, as a follow-up to that conversation, is, guys, we have a great utilization rate of the platform trust funds, which is built within the MLS. What you also have to understand is earnest money deposits on co-broke listings must go to the listing agent brokerage, okay? We've had a few instances where the Keller Williams agent is representing their buyer, and their buyer is sending the earnest money to Keller Williams, and it just leads to a lot of extra steps that can sometimes delay closings because of reconciling earnest money funds. Okay, so trust funds, what is it? It's a very safe and protected way that's integrated into our MLS that allows your clients to wire their earnest money funds directly through the MLS platform. What you'll see here is this listing on Farwell. You go down to more, you hit trust funds. Once you get into this, you're going to be asked where you would like earnest money to be held by. You would like the earnest money to be held by the listing brokerage. So you need to be paying attention as to who your co-broker is to ensure that you're sending the earnest money to the proper firm. If you have questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. But again, we bring these things to you because we see them on a regular basis and we're here to help.
In the right office, even though it's Keller Williams,
yes,
each office has their own
trust funds account. So what Brad is saying is even within KW, you need to make sure that the listing broker is sent to the correct KW office location to ensure that we're reconciling our accounts properly. All right. With that, I'm flipping it over for compliance to Sheriff Reed. Sheriff Reed, what do we got coming on and what have we seen lately within the marketplace?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Charlie. I've been seeing some recent activity and questions about different amendments that we write, different contingencies that we write, and I just thought it might be something to quickly point out the importance of writing an offer to make sure that it's enforceable. And to be enforceable, it really has to be specific and avoiding ambiguity. You as a listing agent should not accept any offer or amendment that is ambiguous, nor should you as a buyer's agent write any ambiguous phrases, amendments, contingencies. So this is just a quick review. Lines such as completed to buyer satisfaction or repaired by seller prior to closing. Those are phrases that have been inserted into an amendment or into a offer, and they can lead literally to the halt of the progression of the offer, and sometimes even more. It can be something that can be libelous as far as the buyer's concerned or the seller's concerned, and as I said, can also lead to an attorney. Any non-specific standards in amendment regarding inspection repairs that are very ambiguous can cause either the buyer or the seller to be obligated to perform beyond their expectations. So continuing, make sure that when you are writing, I need to flip to the next, when you are writing, to be very specific. And some of the standards that you have, especially in amendments that are repairs for inspections, but also in your initial offers. When you're talking about things that should be done or should be corrected by the seller, you can specifically add in that it meets the municipal code or it follows the recommendation by a certain inspection that was done. Again, those things you have to be careful in what you put in your amendments, but the other thing is to make sure that you're also very specific to make sure that both the buyer and the seller understand explicitly what's to be done. Another good standard is to put a cap on the cost of repairs that the seller is obliged to do, or that the cap on the cost of repairs that the buyer is willing to accept, and then the seller to do anything above and beyond that. But making sure that you put in those numbers, you put in that specific direction. So for an example, seller to repair electrical upgrade up to $3,000. So if it comes in and it's $4,800, the buyer will take on that extra $1,800, but the seller to put in up to $3,000. Specify exactly what is to be done and who's going to be responsible for completing it and paying for it. Just saying this is to be done prior to closing doesn't specify actually who's responsible. Ask your client what they are specifically asking for and relay that to the other in writing. Don't make the assumptions that you know better than your client what he should or she should be doing or asking for. make sure that this is their decision, their money, the house that they're buying or the house that they are selling. So make sure that you ask your client what their direction wants to be. So if you're writing a contingency, we're loaded down with contingencies now. I mean, they're in our offer, our improved offers, they're in the GMAR Addendum A, which is why we recommend you use it. But every once in a while, we have a situation in a contract where you need to make a contingency and say this offer is contingent upon, and then you write that in. If you use the Addendum A, the back page of the Addendum A, lines 211 and 218, those lines are set up for you to create your contingency. But it does talk about, you put down what needs to be done. And then I have a list of, on the next slide, a list of the additional elements to make up a good contingency. What needs to be done? You talk about who is going to do it, the seller to, provide, who is going to pay for it at seller's expense. When does it need to be done? No later than 5 days prior to closing. Or who will do it? You can say by contractors such and such. What performance standards need to be met? That's where you put in the exact standards and that you want invoices and permits if they're needed. How is it implemented? How are they going to get in and get it done? And the most important thing at the end, which a lot of people leave off, is what happens if it's not done? So these elements you should always kind of keep in a place, follow along if you are going to be adding a contingency, either in an amendment or in your initial offer.
Yeah, guys, reason we bring this up is we have dealt with a lot of open-ended contingencies and amendments lately with what Joan and I would perceive to be some lazy contracts. And what ends up happening is you may either accept or you may write an amendment that is the equivalent of a blank check. And you put your client in a situation and ends up costing them, in this case, it was 2x to 3x more than they expected in the situation at hand. And so we need to be very careful in the ways in which contingencies are being drafted. And as it relates to Joan's questions of when you do them, that they're very clear and the standards are met so that when we get to the closing table, everybody feels good about it and you're mitigating your liability. Because the last thing you want to do is you get a certified letter in the mail from an attorney and it gets ugly quick because we didn't pay attention to what we would consider to be a blank check contingency. Make sense? Sweet. We will be sending these questions out to the group as well in the follow-up insights and resources email for the group to pay attention to as well. Cool. All right, guys, final reminder, not final, but we're going to continue to hit this over the head. GMAR renewals are due November 30th. Once you have paid your GMAR renewals, please make sure that we send them off to Joan and to Steph as we are tracking them internally to ensure that you guys maintain your active status within the association. All right, Kadi, I'm flipping it over to you for Leverage is the New Hustle is a reminder for the group.
All right, good morning, everyone. Reminder about Leverage is the New Hustle. We have some really, really great tools out there for you guys to utilize. And the same way you guys, a lot of you use transaction management or other kinds of tools, there's a ton of stuff on our website to help you with marketing, listing presentations, showing assistance, you name it. So if you go to our website, you'll find all of this stuff. It's at kwrealtymke.com, and you'll find the list of all of these resources. There's a video on the YouTube channel on how to do it under tech trainings. It's like, I think it's under a 4-minute video. It's super, super easy to order all of your marketing stuff so that you're not spending time poking around in Canva or in Photoshop or trying to figure out how to do this stuff so that you can spend your time, as Janine would say, shaking hands and kissing babies, the things that you get paid more money to do than spending time on your marketing stuff. So if you haven't checked this out, please check it out. If you don't want to watch a YouTube video, schedule a one-on-one with Lindsay or myself. We're happy to show you guys how to do this. And just a reminder, it's not just digital assets. If you want to order the print materials as well, you can pick them up at any FedEx location within 24 hours of them receiving your assets. So please take advantage of this if you haven't. They'll also, if you do any printing, because we're such a large group of people, you get a discount. So just call them, reference our location, and you'll get a discount on any printing. So if you are someone who does printing, take advantage of that discount. One other piece of hustle, you guys, is Keep Please, the showing assistance app. If you're a new agent and you're looking to get experience and go out on showings and kind of practice some of this before you get, a lot of your own clients of your own, there's a lot of agents. I just looked at the stats this morning. A lot of agents are requesting showing help, and not a lot of people are taking advantage of the opportunity to show. So if you were new and you haven't heard of this or you're not set up on it, reach out to Lindsay, reach out to myself. We'll show you guys how to use this so you can start showing homes and getting that experience. So there we go.
Sweet. Guys, leverage is the new hustle. If you want to take advantage of hitting $1 million in net income in 2022, how are you going to do it? You need to create time. How do you create time? You utilize leverage. If you don't know what leverage is, let's set up a conversation. All right, flipping it over. We have two final things. Wooten, let's get an upcoming, what is going on from a training and events standpoint, and then I will finish it out with the weekly market insights as to what's going on a market perspective. So Wooten, it's off to you.
Good morning. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate our newest class of accelerator graduates, Antoine, Cordell, Joe, Rachel, and Michael. Can't wait to see how big of businesses you guys create. A reminder, these agents have proven that they're ready to start building big businesses. So please help me in congratulating them when you see them. Next, we are in the 4th week of October, our final week. Coming up today, we have launch coaching at 10:30. Today's topic is all about time blocking. If it's on the calendar, it gets done. Successful agents follow a schedule. If you want to learn how to do that, please show up in person, North Shore and Lake Country, to 10:30 launch coaching. Also today, we have our power hour with Matt Losnecki at 11:30. I'll put the Zoom link in the comments for you guys. So if you aren't in person in Lake Country, feel free to Zoom in with Matt and friends, and they'll be doing a lot of lead generating for an hour. No productivity coaching on Thursday because we have bold and our coaches are bold. So no productivity coaching while we have bold going on. And then also this week we have Maureen and friends. So Maureen, are you there to talk about this week's?
I am. It's interesting this morning, you guys have heard a lot of things that are leading into the Maureen and Friends topic, which is all about understanding the changing climate of real estate and the consumer mindset. Just watching Blake's presentation on the change in jumbo loans. I mean, that's going to change how our buyers are thinking and how we communicate with our sellers. So join us. We have a national bold coach, a national coach that is going to be joining us, as well as another coach that is going to be joining us to teach us some tech items that you can actually activate very easily to dive into this changing market.
So guys, reminder, Maureen and Friends is an invite-only group of people that is a very curtailed group that is specifically designed around certain production points to bring people together to create a network and a community of folks. And Maureen brings people from across the country to pour into this group. So if you have an invite to the group, we encourage you to show up. And if not, maybe we have to have a conversation around your goals in order to get into the group for 2022. So stay tuned.
All right, and then coming up tomorrow, we have a free MAPS coaching webinar around the 3 language patterns to increase conversion rates. The first 3 minutes of a phone call are the most important, so come learn how to master it. It's 2:30, we'll be streaming it in the offices tomorrow, or you can register to attend. Then on Thursday, we have the Downtown Heartland Business Trick or Treat. At 4 p.m., we'll have a happy hour sponsored by Brad Tyndall with A+ Mortgage, followed by the trick-or-treaters at 6 p.m. Lots of candy, lots of little kids running around in their very cute costumes. It's always a fun time, so please come join us out in Heartland on Thursday evening. And then next week, as Charlie mentioned earlier, we have the Business Planning Clinic with Callie Adler. She's going to show you how to really break down your goals into realistic action plans for each month. So if you want to know how many open houses you have to do each month to achieve your goals, please, please, please join Callie Adler and learn what you need to do to set yourself up for success in 2022.
And if you don't understand conversion rates or to how to look at lead metrics that lead to income, it's a great opportunity for you to take an understanding to how many people do I need in my database in order to make $100,000 in net income. Things like that are the conversations Callie will be walking the group through next week.
And then this is the November training calendar. We're going to be releasing this to you guys this week. I'll be emailing it out, and then we'll also have it up on our website. And the Google Calendar is also updated. So remember, if you go onto our website, right underneath the picture of the calendar, you'll see at Google Calendar. If you click on that, you can have real-time information on your phone so you never miss a training again. All those calendar invites will also have the Zoom links if there's a Zoom to tune into. So wherever you are, you can always just open your calendar on your phone and come to trainings. Super easy to use.
Awesome. Thanks, Wooten. Guys, a few more reminders for you to wrap it up. Bold is sold out. So for those of you who are in, we're looking forward to a great class. We had a call with Darren yesterday. He is excited because he has 2 activities for us that are going to jump in on Thursday that are going to get you rocking and rolling for 2022. So be ready for Be Bold on Thursday. Yes. And there is a reduction in the number of people within the room as well. One other reminder, or one other thing I wanted to call out, we every year participate in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Top Workplaces Survey. It is a completely confidential and anonymous survey that goes out through the Journal Sentinel. We've been very, very fortunate to be recognized as the top workplaces for the last 7 years. We would sincerely appreciate your guys' feedback. This survey will be coming out from a third party that's called Energage to your KW email addresses, that is going out today and is live until November 10th. We would appreciate your participation in this, as we hope and believe that we have a great workplace. And if we don't have a great workplace, that you will give us that feedback and tell us that, so that we can effectively make changes. And so no, it's a totally confidential and anonymous survey, but we would appreciate your response. Sound good? All right, wrapping it up. Last week, we talked a little bit around how tectonic plates are shifting beneath our feet, and they move so slowly you don't recognize it until you're doing the splits, right? And we talked about 7 steps to a talent shift, and how you have to tell the truth about the situation, about where the business is today and where you see it going. So in order to do that, what do you need to know as it relates to what's going on within the market of the moment? And I looked back, it's been 6 weeks since we've looked at the market of the moment on a weekly basis. So here you go, the 5-county metro area across Waukesha, Milwaukee, Racine, Washington, and Ozaukee County. Showing time activity across North America, what you need to know is this. Across the North America, showing time activity is pretty much on par with where it was in 2019. It's significantly below of where it was in 2020 at this point so far in the fall across North America. Yet, and what we also know is we're in a very, very fortunate position in the state of Wisconsin. When you see here, the orange bar is our showing time activity on a weekly basis in 2021. It looks like, depending on showing activity this week, we could actually cross the trends of where we were last year. So my point to this is, our showing time activity from a buyer's perspective, demand is outpacing the demand within North America versus the prior 2 years. Very, very positive again as we look ahead to November, December. That means buyers are still in the marketplace searching for the perfect place to find a home. So don't slow down just yet. Now, if you look here at sales absorption rates, sales absorption rates is the percentage of inventory that goes under contract. Again, it's an indication of demand. We've talked about how we've seen a little bit of, we're starting to enter into what we would consider the shoulder season. And the shoulder season comes in the fourth quarter, first quarter, before we see the spike back up in the second quarter. Here's the good news is, from a sales absorption standpoint, what you see here is the weekly sales absorption of units that went under contract going all the way back to May of 2021 on a weekly basis. You look at this and say, gosh, it seems like we're on a downward trend. But here's what you need to know. On a historical perspective, we're about 5 to 6 points higher than where we historically would be at this time of year. So again, I go back to say October of 2021, is an elevated market than what we had historically seen. What it's also showing us, which I was a little bit skeptical of, is I wasn't sure we were going to be able to hurdle the activity within the marketplace that we saw in 2020. We are doing that in 2021. Why is this important? Because again, it backs up the fact that I'm very bullish on what 2022 is going to deliver in terms of what the market looks like forecasting forward and looking ahead. Now, here, as you look at market dynamics for units that go under contract on a weekly basis, interestingly enough, we've been really, really consistent since pretty much August. We've been hovering right around 600 units that have gone under contract on a weekly basis, August, September, October. Interestingly enough, this is the time of year where you'd start to see this start to fall off. So again, the buyer activity within the marketplace and units that are going under contract remain extremely elevated in October of 21 when you compare it to historical selling seasons or selling cycles as we see it typically in the fall. This is where you need to start to see too. I know we've talked a lot about price changes and things like that, but I think one of the things that we need to pay attention to is here's new units on a weekly basis. New units have really started to fallen off in the last 3 to 4 weeks. So when you compare units that are going under contract, which remain really pretty consistent and across the last 6 to 8 weeks, what you've started to see is the slowdown of new inventory coming to the market. So last week, we had a lot of conversations around paying attention to making sure that you're pricing homes effectively. I'll be interested to be paying attention to this trend as it relates to then how the total inventory is being impacted, because if we see this trend continue over the next 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, it could lead us into a spring similar to a spring that we saw last year. Okay, so what I want you to hear me say is the pricing that we're feeling right now in the fall is happening because we saw this elevation of inventory and people had to right size their expectations. However, if new inventory trends continue at this trend over the next 10 weeks and units going under contract continue at this trend, those are two very different trends, right? We will start to see a pricing dynamic this spring that will be, I don't know if it will ever be as competitive as it was last spring, but it could lead us down that path. And so I'm giving you that just to pay attention to. And I don't want to send mixed messages. I'm giving you a message of what is the market of the moment. We need to pay attention to pricing. And I'm giving you a future message to say, I think 2022 is going to be robust and we need to pay attention to new unit inventory because it could lead us, and we need to be prepared and set our buyers up for success so that in the spring, if it's competitive again, that they're aware of it. The other message to that is if you have buyers that are looking now, I would get them into a home now. If we're burnt out from what happened last spring. There is my market of the moment based on what I'm seeing on the weekly trends. Guys, it is 9:52. I hope you had an incredible Tuesday, Lake Country. I hope I'll let you jump over the Lake Country meetup, North Shore and Tosa crew. I will switch over to new listings and buyer needs. Guys, have a phenomenal day. Be safe. Enjoy your Halloweens. And remember, even during Halloween, what you put out on social media will come back to you. So, guys, have a great week.